What's going on, everyone? Sports back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the New York Giants and whether or not they should trade for a wide receiver. It's definitely an interesting topic, but I think by far it is the most watched and looked at topic in terms of the New York Giants. And I'm really going to be talking about, I would say, four guys that the Giants have been rumored to be in on, 3 trade targets and 1 to bring in as a free agent, of course. But we're going to start off with Chase Claypool, of course, the current Pittsburgh Steeler. The Giants apparently have interest in Claypool, who is the Canadian, so he's Canadian, as is head coach Brian Daboll. But Claypool's a big body receiver. He's 6'4", 240, big guy. He's played in 38 career NFL games. He started 26 of those, and he's been really good. He's had 800-plus yards receiving in each of his first 2 seasons in the league. In this season so far, in 7 games, he has 266 yards with 28 receptions. So he's having a bit of an off year this year, but he's a guy who's still on that rookie contract. He was drafted in the 2nd round. He's still 24 years of age, really young, of course. So he's still on his rookie deal, and the Giants will, likely not have to pay him for a year or 2. And then at that point, he won't make, top receiver dollar. He'll make, a good amount, but not, an amount that's unbearable and unsignable for the Giants. So I think this could be an interesting one. I think he's definitely a solid option. I think he's a solid player. I really do like Chase Claypool. I think he could bring a lot to the Giants in terms of what it would cost, probably a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. I would say something in that range, maybe maybe a 3rd and a 5th, something like that. But I think it's pretty good value. If you can bring in Chase Claypool here, he's a guy who's gotten a lot of touchdowns throughout his career early on in his career. He can run with the football as well. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in his rookie season, along with 9 receiving touchdowns for a total of 11 touchdowns. He took a little bit of a step back last year in terms of the scoring. He just had 2 touchdowns, and they were both receiving. But obviously a different situation there in Pittsburgh. And I think now with Claypool, he can come over here to New York and be the number 1 option and really excel. I think this could be a really good option if it makes sense for the Giants in terms of trade value. If it's a 3rd and a 5th, or something in that range, I think it could make sense for the Giants, and I'd do it. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't know if the Steelers even would want to trade him, but it's definitely an option. Now, I probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm not going to predict if the Giants will get any of these guys. I'm just giving some targets, and I'm just telling you that they should trade for a receiver. Whether it's one of these guys or another one, I think they should trade for somebody. But I do think they're going to bring in a better wide receiver than what's here before that November 1st trade deadline, whether that's signing them in free agency or bringing them in via the trade. I think they're going to make some sort of change in terms of the wide receiver personnel, but we'll see what happens. The next guy is DJ Moore. Shorter guy, 6 foot 210. He was a 1st round pick back in 2018, so he's on that 2nd contract, making quite a bit of money. But it's the Giants can figure something out, of course, with the Carolina Panthers. It would probably cost a bit more for DJ Moore, maybe a 1st. Or maybe a 2nd and a 4th, something like that. But it definitely wouldn't be cheap to bring in DJ Moore. He would cost you more than Claypool. Of course, he's a lot better than Claypool. You take a look at his seasons in the NFL. Starting off with his rookie year, where he had 788 yards for 2 touchdowns. So he also had almost 200 rushing yards with that. So almost 1,000 total yards from scrimmage, so he was very good. And then his 3 seasons after that, he had over 1,100 yards receiving, with 4 touchdowns in each of those 3 seasons. He didn't really add too much in the rush game after that, after his 1st season. But I think DJ Moore could make a lot of sense. This year, in the 7 games he's played, he has 273 yards. So, obviously they're a much worse team over there in Carolina, so that's expected. But The 25-year-old still has a lot of good football ahead of him. Of course, the former first-round pick could make a lot of sense for the Giants, but again, this would be a little bit more pricey. It would cost you a bit more. But I really like DJ Moore. He's probably my favorite of the bunch in terms of the trade targets. I think you guys know who the free agent is. That is my favorite. I think it would be everybody's favorite, and it wouldn't cost you anything except for money off the cap. But like I said, I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just saying these are guys I think the Giants should pursue, and I think they should get somebody, and I think they're going to. I don't know if it'll be these guys, but I think it'll be somebody. They're going to bring in somebody and make a change at the wide receiver spot. But that's DJ Moore over with the Carolina Panthers. Probably cost a first or a second round pick. Next, we got Jeudy, who's a guy who, he was coached by Brian Daboll back in college at Alabama. So, obviously there's some continuity and there's some connections, within this. And Jerry Jeudy, apparently, the Broncos have received a lot of trade offers on Bradley Chubb and Jerry Jeudy. He's 23 years old, still got a ton of football left to play ahead of him. He's just in his third season. You take a look at his first couple years in the NFL. He had just under 900 yards in his rookie season. Then he had under 500 yards last year, but of course only played 10 games and started 5 of them. So, smaller sample size. He was almost on pace for 1,000 yards receiving last season. But he had 3 touchdowns in his rookie year, and this year so far in the 7 games, he's got 386 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a really quick guy. He could really get going in the run game too with jet sweeps and all that. So, Jerry Jeudy's a really speedy guy. Of course, he's small. He's not that small, but he's 6'1", 195. So, he's not going to be that big body receiver like a Claypool or like a Galladay. You kind of get him in space, and he's really fast and could really go a long way. So, I really like Jerry Jeudy in terms of his value. Again, he was drafted 15th overall in the first round in 2020, so it would probably be a second and a fourth or maybe a first round pick. It wouldn't be cheap from the Broncos, especially because they don't have a lot of draft capital. They're probably going to be picky on it. But I think that, Brian Daboll would definitely, him and Joe Schoen would definitely have some interest in Jerry Jeudy because they've had a past history with them. I don't know if the Giants are one of the teams that called the Broncos in terms of, the trade calls for Bradley Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, and then KJ Hamler's another one, that they've fielded a lot of calls for, and that could be a potential option for the New York Giants. But, again, at 23 years old, he could be a cheaper option. Of course, he would probably cost you a third or a fourth round pick. Of course, he's 5'9", 180. He was drafted in the second round of that same draft as Jeudy got drafted. He hasn't been great in his career. In his rookie year, he had under 400 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, though, and this year in the 6 games, he hasn't started any, and he has 113 yards. So, those are the 2 guys from Denver, but Jerry Jeudy's the main guy of the 2 over there with the Broncos. And then the final guy, of course, is Odell Beckham Jr., the former New York Giant. I've made videos on him. I'm not going to get too much in depth with him, but he wouldn't cost anything in terms of trade value. You just bring him in. If there's mutual interest there, I think there is a bit of mutual interest, definitely. But we'll see what happens there. OBJ, obviously, one of the better players, or better receivers to ever play the game of football, definitely for the New York Giants. So definitely an interesting option. I'm really hoping that the Giants can get one of these guys, but even if it's not one of these guys, I hope they get somebody, and I ultimately think they will. I'm not going to make a prediction in terms of a specific player. Like I said, overall, I think the Giants will get somebody. Don't know who exactly that'll be, but I think they make changes at the wide receiver spot before next Tuesday's November 1st trade deadline. It could even be after that, with them bringing in a free agent somewhere. Or if someone gets cut or waived. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening, but I think the Giants do bring in somebody. We'll see who that somebody is. Hopefully it'll be someone good. But that is all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comment section your thoughts on the Giants. Should they bring in a wide receiver? I definitely think they should, and I think they will. I don't know who it'll be. Like I said, let me know who you think it'll be. Let me know if you think they should. Let me know all good stuff down in the comment section. As always, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys all in the next video. And as always, let's go Giants.